I am normally not a fan of AI fan films, but I recently saw this Luke Skywalker one and showed my kids. This one, Star Wars BEGGAR'S Canyon. So I am going to watch and review this thing, being a big fan of the original movies, of which I have the 4K 77, 4K 80, and 4K 83 versions. I'm also a big fan of the prequels, Clone Wars, and Rebels. And there was something introduced in this fan film that originated in Rebels that I think perfectly blends the original movies to the prequels and to Rebels. Let's get into it. I like this shot here. You can see that Luke traveled here in his X-Wing, and this is Obi-Wan's house, or as we call it, Obi-Wan's hut. So Luke's voice here actually sounds really good. Look at that.
It was a place where the most powerful Kyber crystals were protected.
So going back to this shot of Luke, I actually think that's really awesome because yes, it looks like Mark Hamill between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but he's also like super tan, like he's been journeying there. I mean, I guess he did just fly his X-Wing there, but anyway, it's like he's more tan, like he's been spending time on Tatooine. I think it's pretty cool. Also, lots of times I quit watching the AI fan-made movies, and with this one, because the face kept looking real and the way he was speaking kept feeling real, I kept watching it. All right, so looking in this book and looking at the Arabic alphabet, unless I'm special, it doesn't seem like these actually say anything. Like I started translating it, and it's like AQR. So not sure if this is just random Arabic letters or what's going on, but I don't think these letters say anything. I always like to double check because in the Star Wars cartoons, they do sneak hidden messages in there in like the old Mandalorian language or the Arabic language. That's cool. You hear Qui-Gon's voice telling him to go, but you think it's probably Obi. What I really like about this part is how you can see places where the pod race took place. And the music is good. It's very reminiscent of the creepy cave scene in Dagobah. I like this part here. So one, I think the sound of that DL-44 sounded perfect. But two, I think it's cool that the Sand People actually ran away when faced with like a pretty powerful blaster versus their like kinetic rifles, because they're there to prey on a weak target. They're not there to battle to the death. So actually, I think that's perfect. They even have old pod racers in the desert. I love that. I like that he's still talking to himself right here. There's some more pod racer area in the background.
This is sure up there.
But I like that he's talking to himself because it really is reminiscent of the Luke from Dagobah. I also like how heavily involved the creatures are in this short fan film because, again, kind of going back to Empire Strikes Back and Yoda with the Force tying all living things together, it's just, I think it's showing, like with the Kyber crystals that you're going to see here in a minute, and the creatures and Luke, I think this is just a really good idea of the Force all being tied together. And I don't know if they actually lifted John Williams' music for this, but I mean, if they didn't, it's very John Williams-esque, the music. There's very interesting carvings on the wall. It's like, what is this stuff? This carving almost looks earthly. It's got swords and shields going on. Another throwback to Empire Strikes Back. I like that he's going into a Force-sensitive cave and that there's the creepy music and it's like he has to be brave to keep going. And so let's see what he discovers. I will say it's a little convenient to have Kyber crystals stored on Tatooine, but this is presented so well that I think it pulls it off. Got the carving of the bird thing that was outside. I love that he's uncovered an entrance to the world between worlds. I think the world between worlds is one of the coolest things introduced in Star Wars, and it came from Star Wars Rebels. I also like that Luke has no idea who this is right here, but we do. Qui-Gon says to Luke, "Let it choose you," referring to the Kyber crystal. But one thing I've realized as well, one thing why they can get away with the dialogue looking more real in this is that they don't have lengthy dialogue on the face, because I think the other AI fan films, actually that's where they lose, is they have these long conversations and they just can't hold up like a human style cadence and flow. So this show has very limited lines on the face, and I think that's actually a strength for it. I love that you can hear Vader in the background right here. So he's drawn to this pool of water, and I think it's showing that there's different crystals, or there's at least one crystal that's kind of changing colors. But I think it's cool that you can kind of see the potential of what a Kyber crystal could do in the hands of different people. So now you see the green one that he's going to go for. Nice. Alright, so that is the end of the fan film, but I want to go back a little bit because I swear I saw like a clone trooper carved into the wall. Right there. Does that kind of look like a clone trooper helmet? Or like a Mandalorian helmet? So that fan film was awesome, and it was very well done. The music, the graphics, the voices, like I know it's AI made, but somebody wrote it and kind of conducted it and brought that out of AI. So honestly, I think that was great. It felt more Star Wars-y than a lot of the Disney stuff. So was that multiple Kyber crystals at the end, or was it the same one changing colors? I thought it was multiple that he was kind of going through, and then he picked the green one. But when it showed it underwater, it kind of looked like the same one. So anyway, this is the YouTube channel where this fan film is from. So I'm normally not a huge fan of AI stuff. I like to use AI for productivity for myself, but I don't like it for art. And so it was very weird for me to watch this all the way through, but I actually really ended up liking it. So if more stuff like this comes out, I think I'm there for it. What do you think of this kind of thing? All right, subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. And let me know if there's any other fan films I should watch.